Hey everybody, welcome back to another Tuesday night chat with the Muskrat and my brother Mr. Creole Catfishing. And we are joined by no other than Mr. Ryan Bortz. What's going on, Ryan?
Sitting around re-rigging rods, man, getting ready for this weekend.
I actually meant to bring up all my I tied about 12 to 15 Kentucky rigs earlier. I got all the hooks on, but I don't have the hardware at the top or bottom. And that's what I was going to sit here and do, but I forgot. I
don't know if I have one. No, I don't have one tied up. I've been dragging with a double hook rig and run two baits on the same dragging setup. And what I do is I run my leader line off my swivel and run that down to a three-way swivel, and then I'm off of that on the straight side with another leader line that's about the same length as the first one. Peg float, hook, and then I come off the sideways part of my three-way swivel with a short leader with another hook, and the same float holds up both baits.
I like I run something similar to that. Basically mine comes down, has a dropper like a Kentucky rig. I got a hook there, and then it comes on out, and then I got a float and a hook. And I want a three-way at the very front of it, and that's what I hook my dragon weight to.
So I tried that, and I can't keep them from tangling up. Every time I pull it in, it's tangled up. So
are you casting out or just letting it out?
I usually cast.
I have that problem when I cast. If I'm already got the boat moving, and then I just let it lower down on its own and just let it feed line out, then I usually don't have that. But I have the same problem when I try to cast it. I don't use those anchoring anymore. I used to. But I had the same problem trying to cast them. They did get tangled up a lot.
Yeah, I learned to use those in the river real fast.
Well, let's say hello to some folks in chat tonight. Mr. Bobcat Outdoors was the first one in, and he was proud of it.
Yeah, he was.
Welcome, Bobcat. Thanks for stopping in. We got Jason Lamb. Brandon Droner.
Brandon Bronner.
I said D, but then Brandon Bronner.
You're fired.
What's going on? Fishing by Faith. What's going on? There's Josh. What's going on, buddy?
Oh,
I thought I froze. We got Lance McCouga, Crazy Hillbilly, Mr. Mike Greenwell. What's going on? We got Paul Boyd in the house. Backlash Fisherman. What's going on, buddy? And it just jumped on me too. We got Big Wrench Catfishing. Hey, good timing.
I know, right?
Yeah, mine jumped on me too.
Matthew Carden in the house. Let's see, Miss
Dale
Dale Hayslip's in the house. Freddie, my boy Freddie. What's happening, brother?
Get my fingers to work.
Good to see you in the chat. Oh, and this definitely needs to be recognized.
There we go. We got a new. Actually, Bobcat's been a member. I'm not sure if he just renewed. Bobcat's been a member for a while, honestly, but welcome back. We love having you. Thank you for helping support the channel and help making this stuff possible. And I'm back. I had to
get to pay his Muskrat bill.
Well, there's no bills here, but I do appreciate all the help. It definitely goes a lot farther than what most people think. Those of us that run channels and do this kind of stuff on the regular, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Hey, we got Mr. Maurice Kaysen in the house. What's going on, Maurice? Always welcome to see Maurice in chat. But so
Fishing for Whiskers, what's going on, man? Good to have you in the chat.
Whiskers. So the mindset behind tonight's show, and the reason I asked you on the show, Ryan, is for one, you've been on fire lately. And not that that's the only reason to have you on, but what really caught my attention is your transition here lately from lake fishing and transitioning into the Ohio River. And I kind of thought it would be interesting to sit and talk a little bit with you tonight about what that experience has been like for you, and maybe some either things you didn't realize or things different than what you expected, and just kind of share with us what your experiences are fishing the river now as opposed to fishing lake setup.
So it's not by accident that I started fishing the river. I set goals for at the first of the year that I wanted to accomplish with this year's fishing. Back in December, I had my 2022 goals lined up. I I had 4 goals in mind. 1, I wanted an 80-pound blue cat. 2, I wanted a 50-pound flathead. And 3, I wanted to win the online catfishing tournament's King Cat Award. You know, Justin Johnson beat me out of it last year, got second. It's still pretty good. That was just my second year catfishing.
Yeah. That guy he's a professional angler. I mean, he makes a living off of fishing.
Yeah, and
that's right.
To finish second to him in my second year in the sport, I mean, that was an accomplishment to me in itself, just to be in the same league as somebody like that. And then my 4th goal, I wanted to, you know, make my 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and all that, start getting paid for YouTube. That's everybody's goal eventually, but still ain't made it there. I probably will before the year's out, but I feel like that big blue I feel like that was an 80-pound class fish. I feel like the last flathead I feel like that was a 50-pound class fish. So that was my main goals smashed.
Yes.
The King Cat thing, I kind of fell off in that with my new house and my shop and all that moving in. I took some time off from tournament fishing. So I'm down in points right now. The top 4 in the points at the end of the season transfer into the King Cat tournament.
Right.
I'm in like 9th right now. And I was actually Facebook post about it and post I'm in 9th now, watch me come back. I fully expect, because I'll hit it hard from here on out, I fully expect to be leading the points when this is over. I mean, I'll go ahead and speak it into existence, I guess, and I'll do everything I got to pass that up and make that happen.
Yeah, every now and then life gets in the way and things happen, and unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. But
I knew in order to accomplish those goals, I had to venture out from Taylorsville Lake. And I have a really good flathead lake here. That's about 45 minutes south of me, Harrington Lake. If I'm not bad wrong, it's like the 2nd deepest lake in the state of Kentucky. It averages 100 feet in depth, and it's straight cliff walls down both sides. So it is a beast to fish. I went down.
That sounds hard to fish, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a beast, man. Like there's nowhere to find fish. But once you do find them, you'll be on them because there's only a select few places. And I started fishing it. I got a couple of flatheads out of there, and I was like, all right, so this just ain't working out the way I want it to. So I'm going to the falls. So I start reading the gauges on the river, and I know nothing about reading those gauges. I was like, what does 13 foot of dam mean? I don't even know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the falls up here, the group of guys that fish there are tight knit. Like if you're an outsider, you're not getting information from them guys. They're just not going to help you. Go figure it out the way they did. And that's their.
Yeah, I can see that.
I made the 1.5-hour trip up there, looked at the water, and I couldn't get nobody to go with me. Everybody said you can't kayak fish there. So I made the 1.5-hour trip, looked at the water. I was like, I've been in worse than this at Tanner's Creek fishing river tournaments, you know. And if you don't know, Tanner's Creek is probably the worst section of Ohio you're ever going to go on in your life. It's just horrible fishing. The commercial guys have killed it.
Yeah.
So I launched the kayak and I take off up the river while I run into Daniel Remar. He's up there catching bait. And Never Lost is one of my sponsors, actually the first one I ever had. And he's like, here, let's go around. I followed around on his boat. He was on his boat and I was on the kayak. He idled me around, showed me where this was and that was, and told me a couple of deep holes. And he's like, all right, there it is. What you want to do? And I'm like, I'm fishing that deep hole right now. And there's a current seam right in the side of it, cliff wall, brush pile. I was like, this is what dreams is made of right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I go up there and I spot lock and I fish like 2 or 3 little brush piles and a log jam. 3 hours I hadn't had a fish. I had one takedown and that was it. Gave up, went up there and tried to catch skipjack. Went through about $30 worth of crappie jigs doing that. Never got a skipjack. So I'm like, all right, we got Asian carp. We'll go use this. And ran into some other guy that had put his kayak in from the museum there. He toted it down the bank and put it in. And went over there and caught some skipjack. And he come by and he's like, hey, man, I seen you skipjack fishing. Did you ever get any? I said, he gave me a couple. And he's actually in the video of that big fish I got.
Okay.
And he gave me a couple of skipjacks. So I go back down there and I anchor up, spot lock on another brush pile. Slammed. I had a rod just get slammed. I mean, I thought it was going to turn the kayak upside down. And
heck yeah.
Minutes I took it off spot lock, had all my other rods rolled up. This fish just drug me wherever it wanted to go. I mean, there was nothing I could do. And I cranked my drag down, and when I did, it just popped the line. So I went back down, anchored up on the same brush pile, dropped bait down, and was still tying the rig back up. And that fish actually hit. That was that monster blue. And I got it in. And I was like, all right, so river fishing's where it's at.
It's a different animal, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It definitely is.
I've been to Taylorsville one time since then, and that was because I took a buddy of mine that crappie fishes and bass fishes and took him out and showed him how to drag baits.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go on a limb here and say you like it.
Oh, the river's the only way to go. Now, I spent Saturday, I think we went out with chubby fish and spent, I think, 10 hours out on the river, caught one dink blue, but we were up at Rising Sun, you know, I'm in that area for Rising Sun tournament, and caught one dink blue, but that's just the way it is when you get in those areas, you know. Yeah,
unfortunately, there's a lot of commercial fishing that goes on the river. You guys may or may not have seen there hasn't been a lot coming out of. There's a group out there called Exposing Pay Lakes, and they would kind of put stuff out there and just kind of bring awareness to pay lakes and all that stuff. Well, I haven't seen anything, so I've taken it upon myself to share some stuff out. Boy, I got an uproar going today on these guys that are, fishing these pay lakes and taking them out of the river. I just try to educate. I mean, you can't argue or tell somebody what to do, but you can just at least point out the facts and they'll do what they want with it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you can do.
But there are sections of the Ohio River that are just about pointless to fish. They're gone.
The guys fishing the pay lakes didn't do that. You know what I mean? Guys robbed it, but it's because our government let them.
Yep.
And getting mad at the guys fishing the pay lakes does not get your point across any better. I mean, you can argue with them.
Yeah, that's right.
But talking to them with some sense.
Yep.
I've offered to take them out on my boat. You know what I mean? Hey, let me take you out and show you what it's like river fishing and change your mind. Give me the opportunity to show you.
Right.
Like that's the best approach. But I mean, even at that, they're like, oh no, we ain't going out there and fishing in the river for 12 hours for fish. And
yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but the point still remains that there's a lot of area in the Ohio that is just decimated, it's really not worth spending much time on. So.
Yeah, and Dave from Chubby Fish, the one I've been fishing that area with, he's going to let us use his boat to fish Rising Sun, which is the nicest boat I've ever seen in my life.
He's got a nice boat.
And that thing is just incredible. I mean, I've never experienced anything like fishing off that. I mean, a barge goes by and you don't even know it.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is it, like 32 foot, Roger?
I don't know. I don't remember if it was that big or not.
It's crazy big. I don't remember. It's 28 or 30 or 32 or something. I mean, it's 6 people can get on there and fish all day long and never be in each other's way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. A lot of the guys there are guys that just want to fish and, they take their kids out there and they want to catch a big fish and, they don't ever really think about, well, where does fish come from? And after a while, aren't they going to run out of fish? And those are the people I'm going to talk to. You got these guys over here and these guys over here and these guys on the middle that don't really understand or know. And that's who I'm targeting. That's who this information is there for. These guys in the middle, these guys over here, I can't persuade them the same way they can't persuade me.
Yeah, exactly.
And, my whole spiel is more about education. Every now and then I let somebody get under my skin. I just kind of let them have it. But
well, the guys that are extreme about it, 90% of the time are the ones fishing those tournaments. One is one thing, and I mean, 2, those guys are fishing tournaments that normally couldn't fish tournaments. I mean, gear don't catch fish, and I'm a firm believer in that. But if you want to fish a catfish tournament, you've got to have a $10,000-$20,000 boat most of the time to be competitive. You know, you've got to have $5,000 worth of electronics and.
At times, there's a guy down here that fishes a lot, and he may or may not watch this, but Tanner Underwood is a guy that had a little boat, like 16-foot boat with a little 50-horse Johnson on it, had like one fish finder, and we would take off at tournaments. Zach and I fished a lot of tournaments last year together, and everybody take off in these Sea Arcs, Pro Cats, 200-300 horse motors, boom, gone. By half hour later, you'd hear him come up the river, right? We go to weigh-in, he'd whoop us all. There was 3 tournaments in a row that he beat everybody, and he had the cheapest boat, the cheapest gear. Well, maybe not the cheapest gear, but hey, fish don't care. They don't care about none of that crap. All they care about is that bait. Now, you got fresh bait. That's it.
Now, imagine if that guy had that $60,000-$70,000 Sea Arc with live scope and all the electronics.
Yeah, that stuff does help. I mean, I ain't gonna lie.
If you put that guy in something nice, he's probably going to take over the catfishing industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's old school and learned it the hard way.
Yeah, he's actually would be a fantastic example for this tournament I'm hosting. With no electronics, just reading the river and all that, because that's what he does. He's already done that. And like you said, if he could put together his old school knowledge with high-dollar equipment, he'd be dangerous.
And that's something I'm starting to see about. I guess it's always been. I'm just starting to realize it. So the kayaks, a lot of times in these tournaments that we launch beside the boat guys, we will have more and better quality fish than we could have won the boat tournament probably 60 or 70% of the time. And what I'm finding is we're stuck closer to the ramp. We don't have the option of, oh, there ain't no fish here, let's run way down here. We're forced to fish an area out.
Yeah.
Pick it apart.
Fish it that area. So we have to, we find fish where everybody else thinks they're not at because they've already gave it that hour, they gave it that 30-minute window of sitting on that spot. Well, we might hit that spot for an hour and then go to another little place up, a quarter mile away and hit that one again on our way back. Then those fish have turned on. They're fish there. They're just not feeding.
Yeah. Well, I don't fish very many tournaments. But I have fished enough to hear this story more than once that somebody's boat broke down and they had to stay on the trolling motor and they never really left sight of the boat ramp and won the tournament.
If you look back at my videos, you'll see the boat ramp in the background of my videos probably 80% of the time. Now, since I got the big boat and got it all rigged out and stuff, I did a lot of exploring on the lake and stuff, but I still went to a spot and fished it just like if I had rolled up to that spot on the kayak. So I would pull up and just fish that entire spot all day that day until I figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm guilty of it too. And I'd say a lot of us are, as you get in the boat and you get taken off. Next thing you know, you just run down because you're going to an area that you know better or whatever.
Yeah, and for some reason, and you're right, for some reason you get in your boat and you take off, it seems like the further you run, the better you feel about whatever spot you're going to choose to fish. It's almost like deer hunting. Everybody thinks the deer are an hour walk, the furthest you could possibly go, but yet you jump an 8-point with the 4-wheel on your way back to the camp. It's the same thing.
You walk back out to the truck and there's an 8-pointer standing there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, that's Chris from Hooks and Hammocks, that big fish he caught out of Taylorsville. Boat ramp where he was fishing at right there. I mean,
yeah,
I've dragged that area a million times. And then Chris drives down here and fishes an hour and gets it. But
right place at the right time. Hey, somebody's got to get it eventually. Somebody got to get it.
That's right. I spent a lot of time and money on big fish waters and got my tail kicked. I'm still looking for redemption from the James River. That was a beating. I don't like that.
I'm dying back up there, and I had a great trip. I mean, the first day it was just on fire for me, and then they shut off. So I'm dying to get there though. The first 20 minutes I was on the water up there, I had 2 fish over 40 inches.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. I heard about it, and we was getting all excited. We was like, "Oh man, they're tearing them up." We get there, and we're like, "What happened to the fish?"
You brought all that Ohio bad scent with you, is what it was.
Exactly.
Hey, Eric, I saw your comment earlier. I didn't make it down to pick up the rod today. I'm going to grab it tomorrow after we're done bait fishing. But I'm going to put another Ancient Mariner 6000 on it.
I just got some new rods in today. Got the new Blue Cat rods Chris sent me to make up for the ones I dumped in the river. I may have nicer setups now. That's got the 100th anniversary 6500 CS on it. I bought 2 of those used, got a really good deal on them.
Those are nice. I actually had, I think 4 Blue Cat rods, and a buddy of mine, he just ran into a situation where he didn't have any rods, and he wanted to get caught back up. And I said, man, I had Uncle Lou rods, and I'm like, here, you can take my Blue Cat rods. So now he beats me with my own rods.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah. Mike did me that way the first time he came down and fished a tournament on Taylorsville. He came down, he stayed at my house. I fed him, he ate my food, drank my drinks. We went out and fished. I gave him bait, so he used my bait, beat me in my own tournament that I was pretty much hosting.
Wow.
Yeah. For his first time on the lake, and he came down and beat me in my own tournament. And I was like, man, you came down, ate my food, used my bait, and beat me in my own tournament. Going home.
Hey, Matt, we're going to fish in Greenup tomorrow morning, so I can I'll message you and let you know how we did.
Yeah.
Our flow just increased big time down here, so we had a lot of rain last few days, so we'll see how it goes. I'll let you know if we catch anything.
So in other words, y'all going to send that down to me probably in the next 2 weeks? I'll be seeing it.
Yeah, Ryan said he's going to the falls this weekend or Friday, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm playing hooky from work, so we'll see where we're at Thursday evening, but I should be there Friday at daylight.
Well, lucky for you, nobody watches this show.
Yeah, don't tell nobody that.
Oh, no, they know my work actually sponsors my tournament entry fees, so I get by with a little bit of taking off and going fishing here and there.
Hey, Brandon, thank you so much for that. We'll get this party started. So tell us a little bit about your incident flipping the kayak. So actually, me and Jeremy had this conversation yesterday, and this will be kind of a segue to our tip of the week. And if Skip has time to hop on here towards the end, we'll bring Skip up too. But I think
my tip of the week is going to be put the plug in before you go out on the water.
that is a good tip. Write that one down.
Yeah. So my kayak has plugs in the back of it, just like a boat, except for I have 2. I have one in each side instead of just one in the middle.
Okay.
Right.
And here in the shop, I've got a drain in the floor, in the center of my floor, where you can wash cars in here or whatever, and it just drains out and goes out back into the ditch. And I raised my kayak up when I came in from the falls that first weekend and drained the water out of it, because when you get in rough water, it splashes over and goes in the hatches and all that. It's not much, but I like to keep it drained out, just keep it from mildewing or what have you. Right. So I propped it up, took the plugs out, went in the house, went to sleep. I come back out on Tuesday, my fish finder wasn't working. My Garmin had quit. So I come out and I'm messing with the cables, and I'd let it down, and just fooling with that. I thought I'd got it working, so I lock everything up and go back in the house. Well, I come out Friday at like 5 o'clock after work. I just grabbed my rods, throw them in the truck, and hook to the kayak, and I head to the falls. And I get there, and like an hour early, Mark Bennett's coming up to fish with me, and because I wouldn't go at night by myself in that much current. But
yeah,
I get up there, and I'm like, well, he's running a little bit late. I'm gonna run over here by the turbines and the hydros and try to fish this lock wall and stuff, get me some moon eye or skipjack or something to have for bait when he gets here. Well, I'm sitting there and my kayak starts feeling wobbly, and I knew right then, I'm like, oh, we're getting water in here somewhere. So I take off, and it's probably a half a mile from where I'm at back to the boat ramp. I'm trying to get over there, fighting the current from the hydros and the dam spilling out at like 13 foot. I get about halfway to the truck, and I realize, hey, I ain't going to make it. You know, this thing's taking on water faster than I'm getting to the truck. So
That's got to be a bad feeling. When you know. And I grabbed my phone and stuck it in my pocket, you know, and zipped it up in my life jacket. I knew I did all the right things except for turn with the current and try to use it to push me to the bank. So I get all the way to the bank, and I run my trolling motor into the rocks and grab my paddle. And when I tried to push myself around with my paddle to step out of the kayak, that's when it flipped. Okay.
14 feet from the bank, you know, when I flipped. So I'm like, oh, that's not that bad. You know, we'll probably be able to get everything back or whatever. And I'm towing my kayak. I grabbed it and pulled it around to the bank, flipped it back over, drag it up on the bank as far as I can. Well, once I drag it as far as I can, it's got so much water in it, I can't drag it all the way up. I can just get it like a quarter of the way out of the water.
Huh.
And so I'm like, well, I'll call Mark. So I go to let go of the kayak, and it wants to slide back off. So I drag it back up to where I can, as far as I can. And I'm sitting there holding it, and I get my phone out, and I'm calling Mark. My phone's all full of water, so he can't understand half of what I'm saying. So I finally get him to understand that I flipped my kayak. I'm a quarter mile down from the ramp. Just hurry up and get here and help me. So he gets there, don't load his rods or nothing in his kayak, comes down, finds me, helps me drag the kayak up on the bank. That's when I realized I hadn't put the plugs in it. When I pulled it up on the bank and it started squirting water out the back in a 4-foot stream, I was like, oh, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out that it's a straight drop off where I had flipped my kayak, and it's 21 foot deep, 10 feet off the bank. So, I mean, it's a straight bluff. And there's no getting that stuff back at that point, you know, at the time. And so we pull it up on the bank, get it drained out. He takes off and gathers up what stuff I had that was floating. My angle bait cooler, I had live bluegill in it. It was floating. My regular bait cooler was floating. You know, one of my tackle boxes was floating, but it came open, so everything spilled out.
That's tough.
We get it all drained out, and he said, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I can't put it back on the water, because if I do, it's just going to fill back full of water again. So I don't know how to get it back to the ramp. So I started digging around in my center hatch of my kayak, and I had some black tape and an ink pen in there. So I cut the ink pen in half and wrapped black tape around it and made it fit in there for a plug.
That's some MacGyver stuff.
And we got back to the ramp. My trolling motor was working okay and stuff. So we get it back to the ramp, get up there, and I'm like, he said, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I ain't got no rods. I'm going home. He's like, well, I got 4 rods. You can use 2 of them if you think that tape will hold. I'm like, let's try it out.
Worst could happen.
We still got 2 dozen live bluegill and an Asian carp. You know, we're ready to go. He's like, well, I'll give you enough hooks and stuff to get through the night, and you can use 2 of my rods, and we'll go fish. He smacked like a 55-inch flathead that night. Biggest flathead I've ever seen in my life.
Heck yeah.
And the tape held up. We had a great night fishing. I mean, we probably caught 100 fish that night.
Holy cow.
Wow.
My wife was extremely pissed. She was fit to be tied. I should flipped your kayak. You need to get home. Blah blah blah. I'm like, I've already donated $2,000 to this river. We're fishing. You know, I've already my dues for the night. But
yeah, that's crazy.
Turning and going with the current hurt me a lot, because that let the force the water up against the back of the kayak and just filled it full faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, at the time, you didn't realize where it was coming from, so it's hard to.
Getting watered, so I was just trying to get to shore as fast as possible.
There you go, Brandon.
That's the statement right there. That's it.
What'd he say?
He said, redneck ingenuity, 100-mile-an-hour tape fixes everything.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. If it doesn't, you ain't using enough.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Zip ties to go with it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, Paula Smith tuned in as well. Hey, Paula Smith, and she said, "Hey, partner."
Yeah, we're on like 3 of the same pro staff teams. We were set to fish Mad Jacks this year together again, and Steve ended up canceling it. So we may end up finding another tournament somewhere to hit together.
Yeah.
Kind of fill in the gap.
I got a jar set aside here. I'm starting to put money in for gas money to go see Paula.
Yeah.
She's gonna wring my neck if I don't. I've been telling her for like 2 or 3 years I'm coming down to fishing, and I ain't made it.
She's been on me hard to come down since we fished Mad Jacks last year.
Yeah.
So, well, I've come to see you, and you ain't come to see me, so I'm going to have to make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Roger, whenever you drive down to go see Paula, you let me know. I might be able to drive up to go see Paula. That's our way of meeting in the middle.
You might get beat out a little bit on that one, Creole. I think it's probably 5 hours for you, Roger, and 12 for you, Creole.
To get to, I can be in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee in 9 hours.
Well, that's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah,
it's
about
9
6
hours.
for me. Well, it might only be 5 for me now. I'm an hour south of where I used to live in Ohio.
See, that's what's killing me about driving up to Tanner's and practicing for Rising Sun. It takes me 2 hours and 15 minutes to get there. I can be in Tennessee on Watts Bar in 3 hours from here. So,
yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that's yeah, that's tough. That's some of the rivers and areas I've seen to fish down there, like Lee Evans just got a new Garmin on his boat. I told him I'd come down and help him set it up. I said, "Where are we going to fish?" He said, "Well, we can fish around here." And I'm like, "No, I want to fish where you guys are catching these big fish. Where's that?"
Yeah.
And he said, "That's another 2 hours south." And I said, "That's 4.5 hours for me." I was like, "Dang, man, I could almost be on Tennessee River."
yeah.
I know, right?
Where's Lee fishing at?
I don't remember the name of his lake that he fishes on normally. He's been going over with Cody and Larry 3+1 and fishing
Barron.
was it Red Baron?
Barron River, yeah.
Barron River, yeah. What did I say, Red Baron? I got Snoopy on the mind.
If Lee's catching big ones near home up there, I know where he's at. That's a little bitty lake.
Yeah, I don't think he's catching. I think he catches fish there, but I don't think he's catching the quality fish that I've been seeing here lately out of those guys. And
I've seen quality fish come out of that place. It's just here.
Barron Lake. Yep.
Yeah. But Barron, they don't have the fishing pressure down on Barron that we have here on Taylorsville, and they're really burning Taylorsville up with these jugs right now.
I fished the Mad Jacks tournament a few years ago with Justin Mullador here, Justin's Fishing Fetish.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, I remember those jugs being everywhere and a 7-foot thermocline. I was like, what? This is crazy.
Ooh.
Oh, I love when line hits. That makes fishing easy.
Yeah, it cuts out half the water.
Yeah, over half. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Yep. And it forces fish to live in those flats. If they want to live around structure, they got to live in them shallow flats, and that's where I shine.
So let me get your opinion on this since we just brought up thermocline. In my opinion or understanding, I guess the oxygen level, is depleted below the thermocline line, but isn't the oxygen richer in that thermocline line? Causing bait to kind of stay in that area.
So the temperature is what does it. So say your thermocline's at 10 foot. Well, the higher you come up, the hotter that water gets. There's no oxygen lower than 10 foot, but the water's cooler. They can't go below that. So they want to hang out in that 8 to 10 range in that coolest possible water, but still have enough oxygen to survive. And fish will actually go below that, but they don't stay there. They'll go down and come back up, in short period.
So I guess what I was getting at was, so like we fished Hoover there a week or so ago, and thermocline was about 15 foot. And
Oh wow.
You know, it was hard to pick them out in the thermocline because, you know, on your graph, it gets all fuzzy, but I was seeing fish, big fish and small fish, and it looked like they were concentrated in the thermocline.
Yeah.
And,
but that's that temperature difference. You know,
yeah.
You go from 90-degree water to 85-degree water. Don't sound like much, but it's a huge difference to a fish. You know, if you go from 70 degrees on your thermostat in your house to 75, you can tell a major difference when you go to bed at night.
Oh yeah.
Fish, you know, so and bait fish, you know how fragile they are for I mean, there are millions of them that are everywhere, but if you put them in a bait tank, they die. You know, it's
right.
super keep shad alive. So that's where your catfish are going to be, is where those bait fish are most comfortable.
Yeah, we actually end up finding them on a flat, 13 foot of water, and I mean, there were fish everywhere, and we could not get them to bite. We drug this way, we went that way, we anchored on them, we tried everything, and they would not bite.
That tournament we did at Hoover, where we launched along beside Joe, that's what I fished, is that shallow flat. I think it's Oxbow. Is that the marina?
Yep. We started there.
Yep.
We started there and fished that shallow, and then we went through the bridge and fished that middle pool. And in the middle pool, if you're going down the river, down the lake, on the left-hand side, there's a big, long flat. And that's the flat that we found all the fish on, in about 13 foot of water.
I caught a 40-inch blue out of that first pool you're talking about right there. That lake in 10 years wouldn't surprise me to start holding record-sized fish. I mean,
there's record-sized fish in there now in a couple of different categories, but they ain't been caught yet.
Those fish are growing crazy fast. I went up there with, you know, if I caught a 35-inch fish, that was top of my expectations. You know, that would have been a great day. And I had like 6 fish over 35 inches in 2 days. I mean, it just blew me away how good the fishing has got there so quick. And
talking to the wildlife officers, the growth rate is more than double the average growth rate in our region. So growth rate in our region is right around 2.5 pounds a year. And up there, they're averaging 4 to 4.5 pounds a year.
Yeah, it just blew me away how fast they've grown, and the quality of several quality fish, not just a few, you know, it's several.
Yeah.
So they've got some good genetics, and they've got a good ecosystem for those fish there. And from what I'm hearing, I think it's East Fork that they're doing the same program in. Is that right?
They're East Fork and Rocky Fork.
Okay, East Fork, they're thinking they may grow faster than that. So we'll see what that.
Hey, Justin's Fishing Fetish on here says he's picking his kayak up tomorrow, and as soon as he figures out how to get a big cat into it without flipping it over, he wants to come fish with you.
Well, take it for me, and we'll teach him.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, that's. I'm always open, more than open, for people to come fish with me. I mean, I may give you a warning. Hey, I'm going to the Ohio, and the current's strong. If you're not experienced, I don't recommend it. But I'm always open for people to go with.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you now, Justin is a fishing animal.
Yes.
And I know for a fact this guy here is a fishing animal. Y'all two together, y'all never come home.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that right now. Y'all would never come home.
Yeah, it'd be a bad combination because I can tell you, Justin is fishing the whole time on the boat. Even when you're trying to get him to do something like, hey, can you grab that drift sock or something for me? I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I was just seeing if I can catch a crappie real quick.
Hey, but you know what though? I think I accomplished something that nobody else has with Justin. I made him want to stop fishing. I
have never seen him want to stop fishing.
About the 12th 30+ pound Asian carp that he snagged in 90-degree heat, he had enough. He finally had enough.
That would do it for me, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe how good of a bait those things are.
Yeah. I know for me, everybody else says the same thing. The hotter the water gets, the better of a bait it becomes. I know for us, that's the case.
Paul says bass is our next new bait.
Ken must not.
She's been trying to get rid of Ken all night. I don't think she cares what Ken thinks.
The problem is Ken likes snakes too much. Ain't nobody want him.
Yeah,
I don't want him. No.
That bass tournament I was talking about, we did. That was my plan for the video on that. Is I was going to go up and fish the bass tournament and use the smaller fish that I didn't enter in on my score as bait for the catfish tournament.
Yes.
That was my whole video plan, and I caught one good bass and one small bass, and they were both on my score, so I had to release them. So,
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I wanted to say, hey, hello, and thanks for stopping in for Kevin over at K&B Anglers. Also, our brother over at Circle Hook Productions. You might know him.
Yeah, that's my buddy.
Yeah. He stopped in and got Buckeye Catfishing in here tonight with us, too. Aaron over at Catfish Regulators. Just to name a few. I may have missed a couple. Ozark guys fishing.
Aaron,
thank you guys for stopping in and hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Aaron's one of the guys that helped me get some gear back after my flip ordeal. He really hooked me up and took care of me.
That's good, man. That's the thing, man. This catfish community, the way people pull together when it's a time of need, or it's unreal. I know Skip and his son. Skip, are you coming up or not? Oh my goodness! I mean, as I said that, he popped up in the window.
I didn't hear what you
receive.
I didn't hear what you said, buddy.
Hey, here we're going to spread this around. Ron, if you don't mind, I'm going to let Skip.
There we go. We got the crowd on.
It freezes when you make the funniest faces. I'm just letting you know that.
They're all funny, so.
Yeah, but especially those. What's up, Skip?
What's up, Jeremy? Hey, Ryan.
Hey, bud. Welcome to the flip crew.
Flip crew. So what was it you said right before I came in? I missed it.
I was talking about the catfish community and how everybody pulls together, and that after everyone learned about you flipping your guys' boat and losing all your gear, some folks had reached out to you and offered to help you out and help. Saving your life is that's the most important thing. But when you dump thousands of dollars worth of gear into the river, it really hurts. Hey, Danny Stone, what's up, buddy?
Danny Stone.
So I know you did a good job explaining the story, but I'm going to say there's a lot of folks in here that do not have Facebook or may not have us all added. But if you don't mind sharing your story with everyone, man, I think it would be a great segue into our tip of the week. Which is going to be PFD.
Yeah,
I got them right here. I got the one that's still inflated.
Oh yeah. So if you don't mind, without there you go, without making an hour.
Okay.
Well, keeps freezing.
We went out, the night before, the evening before. Water was great. The place that we went over, we knew there was an old dam there, and that was going to be the only challenge we'd really have. And my son's got a little 1442 with a 25 jet on it. He gets in pretty skinny water, and does really good with it. Of course, he had my big butt in it. Probably didn't help any, but anyway, we got right up through it. No problems at all. We like cheered. Yeah, we got it. Went up through there. And we'd never been to this water. And we basically was, he's got a little depth finder, but he don't hardly use it. He mainly uses it for his tracking. That's about it.
Right.
And I always get on him because it's actually a nice little hummingbird that's got side imaging and everything. He don't ever use it. But anyway, we found an incredible spot, man. We just knew that it was going to produce. And we actually even waited. You might have seen the little video. These guys come out of the woods out of nowhere with a four-wheeler and a boat, and they put their boat in, but they went on downriver. And we waited until, right before dark, well, about an hour or so before dark, before we even set up. And had a great night fishing. Next morning, I noticed, told Terry, I said, look at them rocks over there. I said, that water's dropped about 6 or 8 inches. And we didn't think a whole lot about it because we came up through that place so easy. Didn't think a whole lot about it. We ended up he caught another flathead right there before we left. But we was, up all night, tired. We just said, let's call it. And went on in, got to that spot, and we could see rocks. And
oh, wow.
I was a little worried, but I trusted, and he thought, we thought we could get right through there. He just followed the track that we came up on, but there was a really pointy rock that was just right under the surface. And man, that's all it took. It split about a 10-inch rip, just split it right in that boat, and it stuck, and immediately water just started pouring in. So, we start looking around, seeing what's around us. There's nothing around. There's one little bank over there. So we got thinking, well, maybe we can get all the gear over there and then get the boat over there,
Yeah.
So Terry grabs the rods. He grabs all the rods. He says, just get what you can, Dad. And he takes probably 3 or 4 steps across those rocks, and boom, he was gone, head and everything. And, I would immediately panic, just started building up. But then he popped up because he did have his life vest on, and he popped up, but the current just took him. I mean, it was so strong. And there was a bunch of down trees down through there, and he was able to get a hold of one. And all of a sudden, it just kind of dawned on me that, hey, the boat's not really going to sink all the way. It's got flotation in it,
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped out and just started lifting and lifting and lifting. And finally, it came off of that rock and got back into the water, started cranking the motor. Or I jumped back in, started cranking the motor. It wouldn't start. And I was trying to get to him, but I ended up passing him. And then I got caught up in those trees, and he was able to come down to me. Well, then when he gets in, he goes, kill switch. He had to
kill switch. Yeah. It did its job.
Yeah.
That's
why I couldn't get it started. So he starts it right back up. We get going down the water. We're thinking, okay, we're okay. And he saved the rods. He had the rods. He put them back in the boat. And, we're going back through there. We're still taking on water. I mean, it's just getting deeper and deeper, but it's still floating, and we're running. So we're thinking, we just might make it back, Well, we went a while, and it just kept filling up. Finally, it was up to the seats. If I was up front too much, the nose would try to go under. If I'd come back too much, the rear end would try to come under. So I was trying to teeter-totter back and forth. And finally, it just, like one of the sides just tipped a little bit, and it just rolled. And that was it. But, and I will say, now this is the life jacket that I had on. And Terry was screaming the whole time that the boat was rolling. He said, pull your thing, Dad, pull your thing. But I didn't even know what he was talking about. And, it's got a little thing down here to pull.
Mm-hmm.
But these are actually the type that, when they hit the water, I mean, when I hit the water, that thing just boom, it popped right up. And, but I will tell you one thing, where I had it, I always kind of keep it comfortable, and so, it's just kind of loosely fit like that. Well, it came up like, it was like this.
Yeah.
And I panicked again because I felt like it wasn't going to keep me up because it was doing that. And I couldn't get to the boat. The boat stayed afloat about 6-8 inches the whole time after it rolled, but it was upside down. And
hey, real quick. Hey, Ryan, Paula says, check your phone messages right now, real quick.
Who said that?
Paula. check.
So I was, and it really blew my mind how fast, I know I'm out of shape, and how fast I ran out of air.
Yeah.
Struggling because I was fighting to keep myself up, even though it was working. I didn't think it was working, know?
Yeah.
So finally I said, tighten it up, dummy, and I tried to pull it down as fast or hard as I could. And I gave it a big pull here on this here and snugged it up around my chest. And it worked a lot better. So then I kind of calmed down a little bit. I was able to swim over to the boat. So we just kind of hung on to the boat, picked up stuff as it was floating. The rods were gone for sure. Then we realized I did have my phone. I had it up like this, and I laid it on top of the boat there. And so we got thinking, what we going? Or I said, well, if we can, maybe we can just ride this back to the ramp. We didn't think we was as far as we were. And like I say, it was a new area. It was the first time we'd been there. And he said, oh, no, my keys. His keys were in his tackle.
Oh, no.
They were in his tackle bag. And his wife had already lost the other fob to his truck. So I said, okay. I said, I'm going to have to call Lana. She's going to have to bring my truck down. Even if we can get this thing out of here, get it back on the trailer. And you're going to have to figure out how to get your truck home or whatever, you might have to tow it or wait until you get a fob or whatever. All kinds of things were racing through our head. No sleep, panic. So finally was getting our bearings together. I called her, he called his wife. And then I called Roger. I got to thinking maybe Roger's around Portsmouth, which wasn't too far from us. But he was in Dayton, which was very far from us. And I knew that I already knew that Zach was down in Vanceburg, so I knew he was too far out too. But thankfully, Roger, I believe, got a hold of Zach, and Zach got a hold of a guy he knew that lived right there in Waverly. And he actually did help us get the boat out of the water. We ended up just floating that boat back, floating back with it. And it was really crazy because, sometimes you'd get in shallow water and you'd be walking along. You'd be like, oh, this is great. The current's not as strong. Then all of a sudden you'd come to a narrow point in the river and everything would pick back up, and then boom, the bottom would drop back out from under you. It was a wild ride. And I'm just very thankful to the good Lord above that he kept us safe and gave us good sense to have these on. I really do believe when I ran out of breath, I believe I would have went down because I was too far from the boat.
Yeah.
When that happened, I was just like exhausted. My legs were cramping. It's happened, in a matter of seconds. It was just crazy, a minute. Within a minute, I was wiped. And it just very thankful.
Yeah.
That all the stuff can be replaced. And, when I seen, when I see my boy go down, that was hard.
Yeah, buddy.
I was ready to jump, I was ready to jump in, and but luckily he came back up, and just thankful we had these. He had an actual full body going on. And,
okay.
Right.
He's a little fella anyway, and it really kept him afloat pretty good. Which this one did okay. And the thing about this one too, really, I should have been more familiar with it. I should have been more familiar with it because I could have pulled the thing before I even hit the water. If this thing doesn't work on this model here, it even has a blow up. See, this was actually had went flat in the garage today, but I blowed it up right before it got on. and just to see if it works. But yeah, it's blowed back up, and I have another cartridge. When I bought these, I bought an extra cartridge. So, I'm trying to think of the name of these. Oh yeah, it's the Onyx.
You still got one on?
Oh yeah, I do. They do get kind of comfortable,
Hey,
you get used to it after a while.
Hey, I want to point out too, real quick, if you guys can look at Skipper's jacket there on his right side there, it says AM. That means automatic / manual. That's what those initials mean. Yes. Automatic meaning it will automatically deploy, and then manual means that you can also manually deploy it yourself. So if you're not familiar with life jackets, or you're wearing an old style and you're thinking about getting a new style, because I'll be honest, with the new style in the summer, not so much because they get hot and sticky, but like in the wintertime, we wear ours like all day. We forget they're on.
Yeah.
Or even, when it's cooler out and you got a jacket or something on over. But if you've never had to buy a life jacket that inflates, just know that the A is for automatic and the M is for manual. So an A/M is both. So just, if you didn't know that already, maybe most of you do, I'm sure, but
yeah.
And like, I think Bobcat said it, or maybe it wasn't Bobcat. Somebody said, make sure you buy one that fits. It's more it's more important to be proper than comfortable. And
yeah.
It doesn't
you brought that up about the
letter. Oh, it was Michelle.
The letter there, Roger, because the first one I got was just a manual one, and it was too small for me.
Right.
Way too small. So I keep it, for like a younger person, or even like my son, somebody smaller frame,
Right. Well, Skip, I know you can't see all these comments in chat, but there's a lot of folks very thankful you're still with us, and a lot of thankful hearts out there.
I appreciate everybody. I tell you, everybody's been great. And I want to say something here while I'm right here, and Ryan's there. I hope you don't mind it, but when I put that post up, he was the very first person that reached out to me, and he's already sent a couple reels that I'll be giving to my boy. My main thing is, that get him fixed up. We were able to get the motor all flushed out yesterday and running again. So, that was his biggest expense on that boat. It's a little 25 horse jet, and it's only a 2016. It's a nice motor, and he's very thankful for that we were able to get it up and running. Cozy White Song, is it White Song?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Cozy. Sorry, Cozy.
He's crazy, but he's a good dude.
Yeah, he reached out and said he highly recommends this. He's a mobile welder. He'll come right to you, and he said if he can't fix it, no one can.
Wow.
So we're going to probably reach out to that guy, try to get his boat back, and also someone's offered some rods. So yeah, the catfish community is great, I tell you, and all the prayers that was going up, and
that's awesome, man. That
the thanks that we're still here, we really appreciate that. We
absolutely
we love this sport, and we love everybody that's in it, man. It's great.
Skip, I appreciate you sharing your story with us, and if you could see the screen there, your story inspired Bill and Jen to get out there and get their life jackets as well and get them on when that big motor's moving. So
definitely the motor is moving. Or if you're even in some rough water, I would, if you got, sometimes when we fish the river, it's really crazy and stuff, logs coming down the river and stuff. You never know what's going to happen. But that's one thing that I will have to say. My son's always practiced in that little boat of his, because, running that skinny water, he knows it's dangerous. He's had some other things that wasn't quite as serious as this one, but he loves fishing that little river, and but sometimes that little river can get you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That river is notorious for ruining people's days. It really, little river, I've heard more horror stories come off that little river than I have the entire Ohio River put together.
It is a beast of its own. It's not the first time it's knocked those guys around either. So, but it's a difficult river.
Yeah. Now I like Cody's comment right here because it does bring an interesting point to mind about the what ifs and what could happen, you know.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
That is.
Every time one of us leaves the house to go to the lake, the river, to catch bait, whatever, there is a chance that we don't come back. I mean, people don't look at fishing as a dangerous sport, but even right now, say I went to Taylorsville Lake and I fish a lot of areas up there. It's 4, 5, 6, 7 foot deep. You know, most of the time when I'm on that lake, I can stand up and be good. But standing up ain't going to help you none if you've been run over by a pleasure boat or if you braid your legs and a 40-pound blue cat on the other end of it. You know, you're not getting out of that. At least with a life jacket, you'll float. You know, I don't leave the house. What that right there is not in the truck, and I don't put the kayak in the water if I don't have it. I've left here and forgot it, and my wife's brought it to me at the boat ramp multiple times. And something I tell you what I did to ensure that I don't go on the water without it. I'm not going anywhere without that.
There you go.
That's a good one.
There you go.
Have with me anymore, and I've only got a half paddle. I can put the kayak in, but I ain't going nowhere without it. So I put all time.
Yeah, I know in Louisiana, I don't know about the other states, but in Louisiana, it doesn't matter how old you are. If that big motor is on, your life jacket is on, and the emergency kill switch is hooked up, it does not matter. I know some states have like an age. If you're below a certain age, Louisiana, nope. You crank that motor. If you're in, the law reads, if you're in motion, you are to have it on regardless of age. 1 to 100, you got to have it.
That's really a good law.
Yeah. We lose too many people every year on that river. And it's usually during duck season. That's our deadly time of year is the duck hunters before daylight running that river. There's always a few, unfortunately, lose their lives every year running that river.
Just the fact they're out there at night. Y'all's got cold water down there just the same as we do.
Yeah, we do. That Mississippi gets cold. You better believe it does.
So, and cold water is probably some of the most dangerous times to be on the water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I watched a boat, truck, and trailer go in, and 3 people hit the water 20 feet from the boat ramp, and they wouldn't have made it if we hadn't been there. I mean, they up instantly. So it was that was a big eye opener for me that day.
Yeah. I mean, I think all of us have had, at one point or another, we've had, close calls where things could have gone really bad. And look, it wakes you up real quick to the reality of what can happen. There are certain things that I back off from doing because I'm not comfortable. And you know what? My ego, I'll put that on the shelf. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'm the guy that'll push the limits. I mean, if y'all have seen from my videos, some of them I went out on the Erie and hit 4 and 5 foot rollers. I mean, but it's calculated.
Yeah.
Like that trip to Erie showed me what my rig was capable of.
Yeah, there you go.
My rig in current where it really don't belong. That's how I know how far I can push it, Yeah. But I took the risk when I did it. And I had certain things in place when I did it. So I wasn't there alone for one. I don't go very far from whoever I'm with. We make sure and stay within talking distance, not holler up and scream. We make sure we can talk the entire time. Erie, we went out with a guide. That's the only guided trip I've ever been on in my life. Like I told Mike before we put the kayak, he's like, "You really sure about this?" And I'm like, "Look, man, this guy does this for a living. If one of us gets killed, his business and his livelihood shut down.
Yeah.
He's not put us in a bad position. I mean, it may be sketchy, but it's nothing that we can't do. Fishing the falls up there, everybody said you can't do that on a kayak. You can't do that on a kayak. everybody that was saying that was not experienced kayakers. You know, I mean, go with what you have been in and what you're comfortable with doing. You may have to push your comfort zone out there at some point, but that's part of putting yourself in that situation. And you got to know going into it that, hey, this may not be a good idea. I mean, that's just, I don't it, but that's what separates somebody that is good at what they do from somebody that, what I call a weekend warrior, that goes out every other Saturday or that's what separates. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a professional, but me from them, you know, and anybody goes out with me, I'm like, look, you got to tell me when we start getting to your comfort level when you're not comfortable, because I'll go and do way more than most.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a couple close calls as well. I think the worst I've ever had was fishing out of somebody else's boat, and they ran up on the anchor line, and the boat spun around backwards in high current and in the middle of winter, and the water was like 2 inches from coming over the back and dropping the boat. But Paula said it earlier, the most important thing is to try to stay calm. You got to try to avoid that shock. And so you can think through the problem and solve the problem.
You cannot make good decisions if you're panicked. It's impossible.
But when I flipped, you know, my first instinct was to make sure I had my phone in my pocket and zipped up. I mean, you got to just start thinking, and keeping yourself calm. Okay, what do I need to do next? No, oh God, what do I do? It's what do I need to do to be ready, because this is going to happen, or this just happened. And, you know, once it did flip, I knew I had my phone. I knew my life jacket was holding me up. I knew I was okay. So my next concern was get my kayak, you know, and then start getting, I'm okay. Where's my stuff? You know, thought you got to keep that level head and not panic, because if you're panicked, you're not going to do anybody any good. I mean,
yeah, when we was in that situation, I thought for sure he was jumping in the water. He was done. He's like, I'm out.
I remember you told me.
Yeah, we worked through. I won't put his name out there, but we worked through the problem. Here's a tip: if you ever find yourself in that same situation, you got an anchor that will break away, and you're in high current. You need that zip tie to pop so that you can start moving down river. Throw your drift socks out. Your drift socks will put so much tension on that zip tie, it will pop and you will start moving, and that will allow you the time you need to start working through the problem. If you stay hooked up in current water, heavy current backwards, you will go down. So the mission is get moving, get the boat moving again somehow. Hey, Tim is in the house. Epic, what's going on, brother? Thank you for taking the time to stop in and hang out with us.
Tim Scott,
what's going on, Epic?
We're over here just talking about everything from safety to Mr. Ryan transitioning from reservoir fishing to river fishing. And he said verbatim, the river's where it's at.
The river.
We heard it.
Hey, I won't lie. I do enjoy dragging baits on some reservoirs. I won't lie and say I don't, but I do enjoy river fishing more. But there are times, man, you know, we don't get to drag baits a lot on the river, and I love to drag. I like bumping way more, but
that the bumping is where it's at, man. I'm telling you that. I get that down. It's on.
Bumping from a kayak, man. Hats off to you. That's incredible.
That has to be fun.
I told Creole a year and a half ago I was going to make it happen.
Yeah, I remember when you told me. Yeah, you were like, "Oh no, I can't take it no more." He said, "I got to find a way to bump out this kayak." I said, "So be my guest." I said, "You figure it out. Go for it." And sure enough,
Souter said, "Oh no, you'll never do that."
So
I said, "I would never."
How you're doing it, because you know most of us were bumping the trolling motors in the front of the boat, and we're slowing the boat down a little bit. So how are you managing to do that out of a kayak?
Same thing. Except my kayak has a rudder. So I turn that rudder, and that puts me a little bit sideways. a 40-degree angle, 45-degree angle to the current. So the current's from here instead of from here. And then I'm just sitting here and I kind of lay over sideways and I'm bumping this way.
Okay. I got you.
I'm kind of side arming it, but it's still straight up and down. And I've got the kayak turned just enough to where this angle and the angle of the kayak together has got me 90 degrees with the water.
Okay. I was wondering about that because I was like, how is he doing that? Because, you know, the trolling motor's in the, you know, in front, and you can't turn around and face backwards because you're facing the trolling motor. I'm
actually working on another method. I've got me another trolling motor mount ordered. I've got the quick release Minn Kota bracket where you just pull the plug, trolling motors off. I'm going to mount one of those to the back of the kayak. So when I go somewhere where bumping is what I'm planning on doing, I can put the trolling motor on the back, run myself the same way. I'll have to use the steering on the trolling motor backwards, basically. But I can up, and then I'll be able to just bump right out the front of the kayak from my seated position, just comfortably and normally.
I got you.
Cooler on the middle of the deck of the kayak and sitting on it, and that just puts so much weight on the front of the kayak that it's just not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I know you hadn't been doing it all that long yet, but what's the biggest fish you've caught bumping so far?
I know length. I don't know the weight. Probably 20 pounds. A 20-pound blue cat. It was 36 inches long.
Okay, well that's 20. You know, somewhere in like 20, 25, something like that. Yeah, good fish.
I would confidently say it.
They fight hard.
Yeah.
That takedown, bumping. I'm a bass guy in the past, so it's already natural for me to be feeling contact with that bottom and working a bait on the bottom.
What's up, Jimmy?
The difference in a blue cat sucking that bait in and a bass sucking that bait in, there is no comparison. I mean,
man, I thought he was going to say there's no difference. I'm like, he's done.
I had my finger on the button. I was ready.
Hey, Roger, I'm going to go ahead and get back in chat.
All right. Thank you, Skip, for hopping in, buddy.
Thank you, Skip. Appreciate it.
This is something that I learned that I definitely need.
Yeah.
What I just loop this around my rod right above my reel, and it tightens down against my rod here. And then this has just got a slip knot, and it just slips down tight on my wrist, because you'll be bumping for an hour and nothing happening. And your grip's all relaxed and you're just sitting there. And the next thing you know, you're trying to catch your rod.
That's exactly what will happen.
Jerk right out of your hand.
I made sure I am tied to my bumping rod from now on. So
yeah.
There you go. Hey, Justin wants to know what kind of battery you're running on your kayak for your trolling motor.
I have 2 deep cycle 27 series ever starts.
Those are big batteries.
Yeah, it's probably over 200 pounds of batteries. I mean, I want to go lithium, but I just don't see $800 to $1,000 for lithium batteries when this is working. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Luckily, the price of lithium's coming down.
Yeah, they are.
I know Zach just transitioned all of his batteries over to lithium. And I think he was picking them up for $300, $350 a battery.
Now, is that like 100 amp hours or? I may need to check.
Good.
The cheapest ones I've found so far for 100 amp hour was like $600.
Gotcha.
And that's 100 amp hour. I believe he got the information from Doc Lang. Tim, I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
That's somebody I've been really wanting to meet, Doc Lang. I've heard so much about him and seen so much about him.
Buddy, he's a real deal, man.
That guy is a true legend. I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you've caught a couple of good quality fish bumping. Wait till you get your first about 50-pounder, and it smacks that bumping rod, dude. I'm telling you, it's going to change your life.
The monster blue that I caught that Roger used for a thumbnail picture here, that fish was actually caught on my bumping rod.
Oh, okay.
So I got the feel for the fight with the bumping rod, and that's completely different in its own because there's
Oh,
no
yeah.
rod.
Yeah, that's right.
The mag bumping rod that I got now, where I was testing the strength of the rod, and the bend in the rod.
Yeah.
And it was literally all I could do to crank that reel handle tight enough to bend that rod down that far.
Yeah.
I literally had the drag locked, and those Piscifun Alioses got 25 pounds of drag or something.
Oh yeah, they got a lot of drag power. I'm telling you, the first I know I've told this story before, but first bumping fish I ever caught in my life was 48 pounds. And dude, I will tell you, it scared me. Like I'm like, there's no way this is a blue cat. No way. There he is.
Hey, buddy.
What is happening?
What's up, fellas?
Oh, we just talking a little bit of fishing. That's all.
We talking all things fishing, buddy.
Well, in the conversation sounded good, and I thought I'd jump in, get my mind off a few things, and I promise I won't make this a big sad fest. I have enough days like that.
You do what you want to do, buddy. It's all yours. What you got?
Well,
that's it.
And I wanted to say something to the only kayak guy in here, Ryan Bortz. I was in a kayak with Sean last Saturday or Sunday. Uh-oh. Of course, my phone's about to die. Maybe it'll. I was in that kayak, and I thought, there is no way I would take this thing on the Mississippi River. Now, I realize your kayak's a little bit better than the unit I was in, but there ain't no way I'd do a 12-hour live on the Mississippi River anywhere close to that dangerous crap I fish in a kayak. No way. I don't know if I'd even do an easy lake fishing trip for 12 hours in a kayak.
My longest trip to date on the lake was 25 and a half hours. I never stepped foot out of the kayak.
Now, I saw your kayak at CatCon, and it looks a lot more comfortable, but still, these old bones does not like any kayak for 25 hours.
25 hours?
But Epic, you can't use him as an example of what normal people do in kayaks and for how long. That's how he got his nickname.
Yes, I used to not be a normal person either.
I watched him chisel ice with a kayak to go fishing one day.
I did do live on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ryan's a beast. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, look, I named him the hardest working man in catfishing, and he has earned it ever since. I promise you that. Jesus, he goes through way more than what I ever go through to try to go fishing.
Yeah, you could tell. There's.
I have to thank. For everybody that's in chat and have been praying for us, and have supported us and have made comments and prayers and all that stuff. It's unbelievably appreciated. I mean, this is and I'm not going to go down that road, but this is the hardest thing that I could ever imagine. Anyway, how's the fishing? Because I haven't been able to catfish at all.
It's getting better. It's getting there. We're not there, but it's getting there.
Yeah, we're starting to catch a little more fish. Quality isn't quite picking up just yet. Numbers starting to climb. So,
well, if I could fish this weekend, I would show you all how good the quality can be.
I must have been just dropping bait in fish's dens where they're spawning, because I've had a great couple of weeks.
Yeah, Ryan's been on a ball.
Mm-hmm.
We actually got a tournament this Saturday. There's actually 2 or 3 tournaments Saturday. Brian B's got the Midnight Madness tournament, the boat series up this Saturday night. And then Josh Dunnigan has the Ohio River pool party, which several of us are competing in this Saturday coming up. And I thought there was another one. It looked like an action-packed weekend. So,
I mean, we're doing our normal Saturday night thing. Me and Danny and the rest of us, we got that going on.
There's always bound to be something exciting on that show.
Oh yeah, we're catching fish not necessarily catfish. I'm not getting into that tonight. I promised myself I would not talk about that tonight. But
The fish, only two kinds of fish in the world. There's catfish and bait fish.
There you go.
That's a fact.
I will argue with you now because they ain't catfish and they ain't bait fish.
Uh-oh.
I got you on that one. There's something else. These things eat catfish, apparently.
Oh yeah, we're talking about the shark.
See, he said it. He said it. He said the S word.
It's our show.
Yeah, that's right.
I gotta admit though, Creole,
Bait.
Jeremy, if you think about it, sharks and catfish are not that different. The only thing about sharks is if they bite you, they take your hand off.
Yeah, there is that.
There is that.
There is that. I tell you, according to the boys, because I haven't pulled one in yet. According to the boys, those sharks pull very similar to yellowcat.
Yeah.
Except when they get close to the surface, they start running side to side.
Yeah.
But they said very similar pull. He said, in fact, they said that's what they thought they had because it was similar. Somebody time him out.
Bill, are you talking about the fishing tournament? There'll be that fishing tournament by Josh Dunnigan will be live on the Weekend Anglers channel.
Yeah,
this Saturday during the day, and then at night at midnight, Brian B on his channel will have the Midnight Madness tournament. I tried like heck to get into that thing. I couldn't get in it, so now I got to fish during the day.
Roger, if it wasn't the wife's birthday weekend, I would probably be trying to head your way to fish your tournament Saturday.
Ooh.
There you go.
Hey, Ryan, what does the wife's birthday have to do with not fishing?
I'm great.
Oh.
Huh?
Yeah, I've already been put on lockdown.
Oh, okay, all right.
And for somebody that gets to fish 3 and 4 days a week, I can't really say much about that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
it's kind of hard to complain. Yeah,
She'll meet me.
We could talk tough, but we when the cameras turn off, we still got to face these ladies.
I'll just say
that's
it
right.
on or off. I don't care. I won't even try to talk tough. Mine will bring me food down to the water and meet me somewhere. I mean,
all right, I get it.
Yeah, and you
I
see,
stand
I
corrected,
have to be especially careful because not many people know this, but my wife is the operations manager of the bank where we have all our accounts and all of our money.
My wife works at the bank too, Jeremy.
I ain't hiding. I can't hide a thing. I can't even surprise her with something. Nope, ain't happening.
So I'm kind of in the same boat. My wife actually just has my paycheck put into her bank account. So my weekly allowance, and if I want more than that, I better win a tournament.
Yeah, freeze up.
So back when I was guiding, I actually called my wife and said, I'm almost out of bait. You got to go catch me some bait, and you got to drive it over to the Mississippi River. And she did it.
No kidding.
Holy moly.
That's a good
Your
one.
wife is a saint.
Yeah.
She's a saint. I'll tell you right now.
Yep.
Now I was fishing
for my wife and be like, see, you got to step your wife game up.
Well, I went the opposite way. I don't have one now, so
Well,
that's the ultimate way of stepping it up.
Either sometimes.
Now I got to figure out accounting on my own.
Roger, I've got a friend who's a professional at it. He's just got done with number 3.
Oh wow,
3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. You never say never.
I said I'll do that when I see it.
Yeah, fishing. The wives and the women that support us, and I say us. I don't have but support everybody and make their, can understand what drives us. Because most of us we're not normal. We eat, breathe, sleep this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just not normal. And, a lot of women, men too, don't understand that and won't ever understand it. So if you find a woman who understands it and can support you Man, that's a rare find. And like what Ryan said, you got to make them happy, and you got to appreciate it, or at least show the appreciation.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
And trust me, I do. My wife figured out mine because she didn't understand it when we were first dating, because I would like go for days and she'd be like, what are you doing? So one time it was rain. I mean, it was full on raining. She expected I would be home. And so the story is that the Illinois River was flooded, the Mississippi was flooded, but the Hennepin Canal stays at a pretty good flow. So I decided I was going to flathead fish at the canal. Well, that's the same place I showed Sean how to fish. And if you ask him, he knows you got to put the time in. So my wife drove 20 miles. Well, she wasn't my wife at the time. She drove 20 miles and then went from lot to lot to lot till she found me. And there I was in a raincoat over my head like this with 2 flashlights staring at my rods in a full downpour. And she got out of the vehicle and she looked at me and she said, I didn't think this was possible. I figured you were out partying or doing whatever. She goes, I walked back. She just walked back to the car, got in and drove off, but she never doubted me since.
That's an awesome story. I love it.
Yeah. Hey, we got a couple
She was
folks just
almost
hopping in
mad
here.
when she got out of the car. You can tell when a woman's mad when they kind of slam the door a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they walk kind of fast up to you, and she said her piece right there. And that's the last time I crazy. Said I know.
Yeah, because you got to figure it's a lot. It's not just the fishing trips. It's talking about fishing and the getting your fishing stuff ready, and before you know it, if you're not at work, it consumes you in some way or another. And
yes,
it's a lot. It really is. And
hogging the TV to watch YouTube.
Exactly. I had one hobby that completely consumed me for 20 years. When I've got another hobby that completely consumed me for who knows how long. So it can be a lot. I get that.
Absolutely.
If I'd come in from work and don't spend an hour in the garage messing with the kayak, getting rods ready, prepping gear, organizing tackle, something, then I'm not ready for the weekend. You end up not putting plugs in the kayak.
That's yeah.
But that's a lot of that comes in with the tournament aspect of it, at the same time, especially these online tournaments where it's a month long, and if I'm not out there, somebody's passing me.
Exactly.
The first weekend of this month, I caught those monster fish, and I've been in the lead ever since, and probably could have sat down and not fished another day. But in my mind, if I'm not trying to gain more of a lead, somebody's trying to gain to fill that gap. So I better can.
Yeah. You don't want to just lay down on it and be comfortable with what you got going on. Yeah, no, that's never a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever grew while they was comfortable. You've got to always be pushing that.
Yeah.
Next big thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say a huge compliment for you to come off of the reservoirs and doing what you've been doing all this time, and it's worked. I mean, you catch fish, man. You catch good fish, and to completely step out of that and say, "Hey, I'm going to try the river now," dude. That's a lot of guts and a lot of drive. To push yourself way out of your comfort zone, because you feel that was what was going to take. That was what it was going to take in order, like you said earlier, to evolve and to grow. Yeah. And most people can't do that.
And see, that's a big part of why I joined up with that OKC series, that Ohio Kayak Catfish Trail. You hit a different reservoir or a different section of the river every month for that tournament. And I've missed one right now, and the one that I missed was the river that Skip was on when they had their incident there, the Scioto. And probably I'm lucky that I missed that. that's when I was moving and all that, and I had to miss that tournament. It rained like 6 inches overnight that night of that, and the river came up. Who was it? Aaron Grubb flipped his kayak that night up there, just trying to get back to the truck when the rain started.
Oh, wow.
That guy to say, "Oh, I'm fine. We're doing a float trip. You know, I can get downriver." I probably would have been the guy to push it and try to stick it out to win that. But,
Yeah.
But I'm currently sitting in second point, but Kayak Mike paid because he paid the entry fee for that tournament. We're paying the entry fee, you get points.
Okay.
Pay the entry fee because what fish 48 points or 46 points in front of him, but our worst tournament off for the track points.
Yeah.
Technically, I'm in front of him by 8. So,
Yeah.
That's what it was. We'll get a little feedback from Epic.
Yeah, I seen that.
but that for me to be able to say I'm a Kentucky boy going to Ohio and you know, that makes a man feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get out of here. Of course, I'm ruining the show once again with my bad connection.
Of
Ryan,
course not.
just remember one thing about rivers, especially if you're fishing them kind of new, because I know you're a lake expert. Now you're widening out to rivers. All rivers are not created equal. So just remember, you're going to have opportunity in certain rivers that you don't have in other rivers, and it's the smart anglers that figures out not to spend a whole lot of time on some rivers that don't have the habitat, they don't have the depth, they don't have the population, they don't, I mean, I spent, way too long trying to catch big flatheads in a river that I was just kind of, what they say, pissing in the wind. So,
yeah.
Now you can kind of contact is, but then you got to raise the bar and you got to be willing to do things, which I know you are, that other anglers are not willing to do. When you see everybody racing around, sometimes it's better to slow down. When you see everybody slow, sometimes it's better to throw bigger baits, throw smaller baits. And I know you will, because I talked to you at CatCon, and you're a very well-rounded angler, and I'm proud to know you. And in leaving and going, once again, thanks everybody for all the support and all the outreach and all the everything. And
love you, buddy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love you guys too, and trust me on this one. I am going to get back in the saddle, and it won't be this weekend, but it possibly will be next, and we will be throwing donkey baits in monster waters. So get ready.
I know I know your drive, I know your energy inside, and that will do a lot for your soul.
It will.
Oh yeah.
It will.
It will.
All right, brothers. I'm out of here. I'll get back and chat. Thanks for having me up.
All right, see you, bud.
No problem, buddy. Anytime. Kazi, you guys out on the water tonight? He says he's got 8 flats and 4 blues.
Ooh, setting the bar high now, isn't he?
He's out fishing somewhere. That dude's always out fishing somewhere. He puts a grind in, that's for sure. Catfish Viking, what's up, Justin? Thanks for stopping in, man. There's another guy that's been killing it out of a kayak. He's been cranking out some numbers, man.
Which Justin was that? Justin Sherman?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a beast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no kidding. Kazi, we were trying to get well, you saw me on Facebook. I was trying to get some stuff fired up over there.
Yeah.
See if I can create some buzz. We talked about it, and I don't want to get back into it and drag it out, but conservation is where it's at. 48-pound flat is the big one tonight so far, or 46-pound flathead. Well, that's a good flathead. I don't care where you are. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
You could tell us where you're fishing at tonight, if you don't mind, or if you'd rather keep it to yourself. That's fine.
Yeah, I would expect GPS coordinates.
Yeah, send me those.
Oh yeah.
I just need to know. I don't ever want to know that. I always want to know what bait, what depth, and what presentation. Like, were you dragging, anchored, whatever depth and bait. Everything else I can figure out on my own. But if I get a little tip on what's working, that's what I need.
Yeah, like when I go to some of our commercial guys, and I'll ask some questions as to not where are y'all catching fish right now, but what are y'all catching fish on? Are y'all fishing that deep water right now? Or are y'all fishing? Like basically, I'm asking in terms of like structure and current speed.
Yep.
Are y'all fishing in that fast water, or y'all getting out of it, or that tells me what I need to know. That way I can go find that situation where I want to go. And it's worked for me really well. I get good information from them.
And all my life I heard fishing tournaments don't pay attention to what the other guy's doing, because what works for them probably ain't going to work for you.
No.
I see what you're doing, even if you're not catching fish, because if you're not catching fish, I just eliminated something I'm not going to try.
Exactly, because they're probably watching to see what you're doing.
Yeah, and that happened several times. But I am paying attention to what the other guy's doing, whether he's the newest guy on the water or a seasoned vet.
Yeah.
Whether what he's doing is working or not. The not working helps me more than anything.
Yeah. Sawdust in the charging port. That'll do it. Hey, I realized when I took my last drink of tea there out of my mug, it looked like I was drinking beer. But those of you know me, I don't drink, but I'm drinking Gold Peak sweet tea.
I was not going to judge. I was not going to judge.
Well, I mean, I know it happens, but I don't drink anyway. So, but I just realized when I took that last drink, I'm like, that looks like beer on the screen.
Yeah, I kind of did. I wasn't even paying no mind. Not until you said it. Then when you said it, I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, guys, I'm gonna have to pop off here. I'm ready to eat supper and get in the bed.
Yep. We ran a little late tonight, but
it was worth it though. It was worth it.
Definitely. I'm gonna get YouTube stuff. I've been out of the loop for a while, but
I just want to share one thing really, really quick. Let me see if I can get it up on the screen here real quick for everybody to see. That right there, guys. You see that number?
926.
926 subscribers. He's close.
That's right.
Me and that guy down there made a vow that we'd help each other out. Well, you know what? It's his turn. We gonna make it happen.
There you go, man. If you guys haven't already checked out Ryan, man, he's an excellent angler. And if you didn't catch through tonight's feed that he is a diehard fisherman that pushes himself to the limits to go after fish. He does some amazing things.
And some great DIY stuff on that channel too, I might add, especially for the kayak guys. A lot of great DIY stuff. Real simple stuff. Hey,
Ryan, do you want to give a shout out to any of your sponsors or anybody that special that been helping you out here lately?
Like I said earlier, Aaron, he got me hooked up, got me a couple rods, and hooked me up with Matt Knight. Matt Knight sent me a couple rods. Chris Flores, all the way, Muddy River Catfishing.
Yep.
By far my rods for every style fishing I do. Steve Douglas, Monster Rod Holders. Of course, y'all, if you're catfishing, you know who that guy is.
Yep.
Santee Drifters, Jim Smith. Jim heard about what happened. I hit him up. I said, hey, Jim, I lost all my dragon weights. I need some dragon weights. He said, how many, what size, and how quick do you need them? Threw a couple of reels in, sent me a couple of reels with them. Demon dragons, stuff people didn't have to do. They took care of me. I wish this was open, but it's not. Never Lost Anchors. I actually just got that today. Dan is a great guy. I mean, you'll never meet anybody any better.
Heck yeah.
Where I work, they pay all my entry fees and stuff. They've offered to buy gear back, but by the time they made the offer, I already had it covered. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, that does make it difficult if you put you on the spot.
Exactly.
And man, the catfish community, like we say always, Second to none.
Dave, I call him Chubby Dave, Chubby Fish Outdoors. If you see set up at these shows, Dave will have the best prices.
Yeah.
You're going to see. He's low on inventory, so the website's not up and running right now. So don't run over there and start sending him messages and saying, well, Ryan said, because I done got in trouble that once. He was closed down, and I got him about 300 messages.
Oh, yeah. Ouch.
Yeah. But Dave's a great guy. You ain't going to find better products at a better price,
Yeah. I've picked up a lot of his stuff at a couple shows. Chubby Knockers. Is that what his are called?
Yeah, the Chubby Knockers.
Yep. Chubby Knockers, line rattles. I mean, his prices are almost always cheaper than everyone.
Got me started in that I didn't do before. So on my dragon rigs, if I'm using peg floats, he uses a split side peg float.
I do too.
So where I'm swapping from river fishing to lake fishing, I can take that same rig, tied on from when I was dragging baits, pop that float. Now I've got a rig ready to go suspend baits in the river. Game changer. Saves me hours a week probably tying rigs in the garage. But
yeah, exactly.
That's a big thing that Dave put me on.
Kazi says Dave is my little big fat buddy.
I just put him on TikTok the other day. If anybody ain't seen that, go check that out. My last TikTok videos, Dave, and mine.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna highlight that one, but it's funny.
What? Oh.
That's funny though.
Other than that, my job, Isaiah House / Reliance Works, they pay all my tournament entry fees. I couldn't do without them. They let me use the work truck and work gas to do all these trips and all these tournaments and all this stuff I do. Besides that, the place saved my life, I mean, most stories, so. But.
Well, as I saw here in chat, Danny posted, you think you're subbed to somebody, and but every now and then, if you don't go through the paces of actually watching and clicking on a video and leaving a comment or a thumbs up, YouTube will just take it away from you. And so just if you haven't checked out Ryan yet, his link is in the description. Pop over and if you haven't grabbed him already, hook him up, set the hook deep, reel down on him. Make sure you leave a thumb and a comment to make sure that hook sticks.
Yes. It's bad to do videos consistently for a couple weeks or a couple months and then just quit for a couple months and start.
Yeah.
I get tournaments a lot and start leaving the cameras in the truck. You know what I mean? It's up in and well, YouTube ain't where it's at right now for me. It's in tournament fishing, and I want.
I got you.
But YouTube is only a part of our sport and what we do. We're all involved in different parts of it. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Everyone gets something different out of YouTube. Some folks are here to just educate and love the camaraderie and just being around like-minded people. Some people are in it to learn, to pick up new techniques, tactics, and things like that. Some people just purely like the entertainment factor of things. Yeah. Everyone's in it for a different reason, and
and there's so something big for everybody. Yeah,
I was gonna say it's so big. There's room for everybody.
Absolutely.
There's no need to step on anybody or try to put yourself ahead or whatever.
With YouTube, some of my best friends right now are because of YouTube.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's just been people, hey, here, let me help you. I have had no bad experiences with YouTube. I mean,
that's awesome. Well, you guys all know how close me and Skip are, me, Skip, and Zach. I only met Skip through YouTube, through Chris Souter's Tackle Talk Tuesday is where we met.
Yeah.
Somehow I left a comment in there fishing in a certain area, and he's like, "Hey, that's where I fish," and
that's how it starts.
He had me at I fish too. That's
about all it takes. We're easy,
Yeah. And then like like most of you guys, you know, I mean, a lot of folks in here I have fished with, or at least been around. Ryan, we fished on the same water at the same time. We didn't actually fish together. You wouldn't let me get in your kayak, but
we did pass each other a couple times though.
yeah. You're like, hey, I got another one. Shut up, Ryan. Hey, I'll let you get out of here. I know you got stuff to do, and Jeremy, you got to work in the morning. I'm getting up super early going bait fishing. So if you guys haven't hit the thumbs up yet and you enjoyed tonight's content, please consider hitting the thumbs up. And we will be back here next Tuesday night, the same cat time, same cat channel. Thanks, everybody.
Bon pêcher, everybody.